For a while now, we've been hearing about tokenization from the likes of Larry Fink and BlackRock all the way to different CEOs of particular blockchains. All we hear is the tokenization of assets will change the financial system. And on today's video, we're going to be diving in deep into 3 blockchains with a nice segment focusing on one in particular that I think will cause a lot of disruption into the blockchain space and crypto adoption in general. But before we begin, I want you to check out this clip from the CEO of the Stellar Foundation.
In 2019, I had been at the foundation for like 5 months, 6 months. And we had our first Meridian, which is our annual conference. And right after Meridian, I saw an SEC filing from Franklin Templeton. And in 2019, in November 2019, they went to the SEC to get approval to build a money market fund on Stellar. They hadn't talked to us. We had no idea. Like, this is the beauty of open source technology. They had found the technology themselves. And so they started building, and they got the SEC's permission to be able to move in that direction. We've now obviously spent a bunch of time with them, but Franklin Templeton was the first money market fund to issue, and it issued on Stellar.
All right, so what she broke down was huge. She is letting the audience know that Stellar Lumens in particular have been at this tokenization aspect for many years, and 10 years to be exact. And they have been working with big institutions for a long time. And we're seeing this adoption spread like a wildflower right now. So let's check out some of the headlines that's happening in this past week. The first one, JP Morgan to accept crypto ETFs as collateral for loans. Now, what does that mean? So people can borrow against their stock portfolios. So if you have an official account like with Fidelity, with Schwab, one of the big institutions, obviously JP Morgan, you have a sizable amount, they will allow you to borrow against that so you can go take out and buy real estate, so you can go buy other assets or live off the money. So you got guys like Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. When they're at their companies, they make sure that they receive a very low salary, and then they receive stocks. And then what they do with those stocks, they borrow against them, which creates a non-taxable event. So that's a strategy that the wealthy use to not pay as much taxes. So JP Morgan's like, we're going to allow you to use your Bitcoin ETF as collateral. So we're going to be following that story. And that's a big breaking news, I would say, that Bitcoin ETFs or crypto ETFs in general are now being considered for collateral. All right. And then the next one we have is Stellar CEO Dixon on PayPal launching its stablecoin on the foundation's blockchain. So PayPal has the YUSD, PayPal stablecoin, and now they're putting it into the blockchain. So we got the USDCs, we got the RLUSDs, we got the USDTs, and now PayPal, a public company, which I definitely be using their app. People use Venmo as well. They're dropping their stablecoin, or rather issuing it on a public blockchain. I think that is big for innovation. Then we have Ondo Finance brings tokenized securities to the XRP ledger with seamless mint and redemption via Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin. So we have Ondo partnering with XRP. So they're going to be bringing their yields over there, which is their treasury yields. You can earn about 4%, 5% on a treasury yield. And now you got 24-hour redemption, 24/7 minting. And this is mostly for the investors outside of the US, so that way they can tap in with the US markets. So XRP cooking right now. And to dive in a little deeper on that, they're bringing the OSUG there. That's that, again, seamless mint and redemption, access to liquidity. There's a more established liquidity. And this is the way for XRP to get their RLUSD stablecoin in adoption more. And then obviously this helps out just with their utility in general. And the holders are like, bring the bonds on chain, baby. Bring those treasury bills on chain. Now, some of the news that people really are focused on, obviously, in that I think what needs to happen is the Genius Act, the Genius bill, right? Genius stablecoin bill passes, key vote advances in U.S. Senate. So in this situation, it looks like it has passed in the Senate. They remember they did that vote where they just want to like discuss it. So we all good to go. Now it has to go to the House, and then eventually it passed the House. And then after the House, it'll go over to the president. The president signs it in. But why is that bill important? It's important because, for one, it helps companies like USDC or Circle. It is a way for them to be legitimized, prove their reserves. Remember, Tether had issues about that a few years ago about getting their reserves approved. So, or reserves, proven. So it proves the reserves. It has different security features that you need. You also get the opportunity to have all the stuff be more public, like a public company. So you know what's happening. The laws are clear. We know it's for payments. We know that it's backed by treasury bills or one-to-one. We know that there's some type of security there, and we have a finger to point to if things go wrong, clear regulation. Then the US dollar can spread with the USDC. So if any senators don't want this to happen, they're tripping. And otherwise, some of the Democrats there are like, hey, Trump is dropping stable coins. We don't want him to be laundering money. So that's always the issue there, but we'll get past that. And then finally, more XRP news. USDC is now live on XRP Ledger. That's the enterprise business to business. Use USD for global money movement and improve capital efficiency across borders. Obviously, you can send with XRP in a few seconds. Deeper DeFi liquidity, financial infrastructures, so that's the custodians, the wallets, the fintech platforms. And remember, Uber talked about potentially integrating stablecoins. So if you got that stablecoin on XRP, you got it on Uber, everywhere, it's going to be fire. People may be concerned that RLUSDC, mostly the Ripple people, might get less usage now that USDC is there. And I'll tell you right now, I would much rather use USDC, a lot more established. And that just is what it is, y'all. That is what it is. Now, let's get to our featured segment of the day. And we're talking about real world assets. And right now, here's the question. Why is Silvio Micali launching Fiat Chain? And remember, Fiat Chain, this has been talked about just a few months ago. Silvio Micali, he is back on the road, and he'll drop an interview with Rachel Wolfson, a crypto content creator. She's been at all the events, and we're going to see. She says, apologies, AlgoFound. Silvio Micali interview on Fiat Chain will be up early next week. Not today. Still getting it ready. Hang tight. It's a must read and does mention Algorand. So people have been talking about, does it talk about Algorand or is it just Fiat Chain? So let's dive in a little deeper about this. So Silvio Micali is the founder of Algorand, right? So if you don't know, now you know. So he founded Algorand. Algorand dropped in 2019. That makes 6 years, a few days ago, of Algorand being on chain. And what's dope about it is that Silvio Micali, he is an award-winning cryptographer, right? So he's the people that write code. He's over there at MIT. He's been in this math game and science game for a long time. His work was mentioned in the Bitcoin white paper that digital signatures can protect, introduction, trusted third parties, all of the zero knowledge proof stuff, establish ownership, all of that. Silvio had a hand to play with that. So we can say Silvio is partially, we can give him credit, responsible for the Bitcoin white paper and what Bitcoin is today. So we have to give him some breakthrough. He's also mentioned in the Ethereum background there as well. So let's, let's give Silvio a hand for that. But Fiat Chain founder Silvio Micali, he's building something that he says is going to change the real world asset game infrastructures for institutions. So why is it important? So Algorand, we know, is a fast, secure, and decentralized public blockchain. So 10,000 transactions per second. That's that point of sale speed that users need. So when you swipe the Visa, you want it to feel just like, or excuse me, when you swipe the blockchain or do anything on the blockchain, you want to feel just like Visa. Quick, smooth, you don't have to think about it, right? And that's where instant finality comes in. No rollbacks, no partitioning, no uncertainty. If it happens, it happens. And recently, we know Algorand moved $2 million for the MT bills. That's those treasury bills out of the company Midas out of Germany. So you know what's happening. It was smooth, it's quick, 0.004 cents on a fee. Not bad. All right, so then pure proof of stake. I'm running a node using Valar. If you can run a node, it's easy for everybody to get in, decentralized. Everybody can stake, low barriers of entry. Programming languages, Python, TypeScript. They got AlgoKit. All of that stuff is happening. Then obviously the network is very secure. It has never went down, right? So then when we look in a little deeper, you say, why would an institution want to use a fiat chain that has Algorand technology? It's those reasons. And then obviously roughly 2.8 second finality or block time, right? Handle hella transactions, not a problem. And then the metrics for Algorand in terms of usage is getting better and has gotten better with time. And now Silvio, you know, at the Paris, I think it was Blockchain Week, he introduced the fiat chain. He says institutions want something that is fully focused on what they got on, right? And we hear Larry Fink talk about the tokenizations of stocks, the tokenization of bonds, and the usage of digital dollars, otherwise known as stable coins. So if you have these stable coins, right, on a fiat chain, which is the Algorand technology, he says the heart of fiat chain is the Algorand tech. That's the AVM, Algorand Virtual Machine. You might know about the EVM, which is the Ethereum Virtual Machine. As we know, they had scalability issues, so they dropped blockchains like Base. They dropped blockchains like Optimism, Polygon, Arbitrum, right? Algorand is Algorand. It can do what those chains do, but natively, no layer 2 or anything. So you drop fiat chain with that type of technology. However, you also make it interoperable. So you can plug in the Ethereum, you can plug in the Arbitrum, you can plug in a Polygon, a Polkadot, any of those chains that you would like to use, and Algorand Rails will run strictly the USDC. And he also mentioned it doesn't have a gas fee. So you can transact with USDC, treasury bills, and all of that as seamless as you would like, right? And that, I believe, is very important. So there's two ways to look at this at the same time. And the question that many people have is this a healthy development for Algorand, or is Silvio moving on? That's what everybody's wondering. Is Silvio moving on, or is this a healthy development? So one side of the story is this. This is great for Algorand because it shows you the power of the AVM, the Algorand Virtual Machine, a proof of concept, right? If institutions or anybody is like, I'm going to hop on and use this fiat chain by the award-winning cryptographer Silvio Macaulay, who created the Algorand technology, him and his team, why not let more things go into blockchain? This could help the whole industry as a whole. That's what they're talking about on one side, proof of concept, and then that value sliding back to Algorand. So more DeFi, more NFTs, more companies who want to have a public ledger system, let them use it. Stable coins, governments, humanitarian organizations. So that's what fiat chain would prove. And then the other side of the question is Silvio just moving on? He's been quiet for several months. We know with Algorand at that time, 2017, 18, 19, he raised around 70 million to build out this technology. So Silvio just has a new product. He'll be looking to raise more money. He'll be looking to work with governments directly. He has proven that Algorand does work, right? All of us holders, all of us users, all of us creators over there, and say, hey, look, this did work. Now, let's make this private. Let's make this for you, Larry Fink, BlackRock, Templeton, JP Morgan, world governments. Let's use this technology and make it private. We know, and we'll talk about TravelX, that TravelX is moving on because they are having issues with the public versus privacy, essentially feature of having the airline tickets online. We'll talk about that. So that's the two sides. That's the two sides of the development. And for y'all here, will Fiat Chain help Algorand? That's the real question. So I put up a poll on YouTube, the Passive Income Network YouTube channel, and I want y'all to let me know what y'all think. So here's the question. Sylvia McCallie is back in the media, and he'll be talking to Rachel Wolfson in an exclusive interview. The question is, will Fiat Chain help Algorand adoption? Thumbs up, yes, it'll be good for Algo. Or thumbs down, no, it's a bad idea. Y'all go vote. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about that as well if you have any thoughts, and I'll get back to you next week with some results. Now, the next thing, as we slowly start to close out, y'all, this has been good. I want to talk to y'all more about TravelX, right? So TravelX says they're evolving the future of travel. We know that for the last 4 years, they've been using Algorand. They're one of the biggest users of the chain. Most of their transactions for Algorand has actually been this chain right here. So they said, at TravelX, our mission has always been to reimagine the evolution of the travel industry by enabling dynamic transactions, sales, and inventory management with efficiency, transparency, and innovation at the core. Blockchain technology has shaped the foundation of our products, and we leverage Algorand blockchain to power our transactions layer. As the needs of airlines across the globe continually evolve, we want to be the best position to meet their operational and compliance objectives. With this goal in mind, we're transitioning away from the use of public blockchain networks to a private transactional infrastructure. This transition will provide airline partners with greater flexibility and enhanced privacy. We also want to, thank the Algorand Foundation, and they close out, being real polite and nice. That's interesting, isn't it? So the problem isn't Algorand. It seems to be that their business model, the people they work with, don't want their stuff to be all out there. They want their stuff to be more private. Very, very interesting. Then we got a post here by BC Frugal. He's been giving some nice updates. Go give him a follow. He says, looks like they're officially gone now. And why he's saying this is all the transactions, top 5 DApp activity. And as I mentioned earlier, TravelX, damn near 2/3 of all of the transactions were happening via TravelX. Now you see World Chest, you see Vestige, which also took a dip, it looks like, Arbitrage Bot, Algorand blockchain, Oracle feeds. This is all what's happening. And a big one that's missing is TravelX. And that's kind of crazy in my opinion, but it is what it is, y'all. And we know that Mark, the CMO, he made a nice message talking about it as well. And essentially, this is like bad for the industry as a whole, not for Algorand. But he did mention the Lofty AIs is still popping. You have Hisab Pay still popping. You have the DeFi still popping. All the rest of the platforms like Lazava Coffee still popping. Everything in that nature. More developments happening. The biggest hackathons. He goes through a whole list of things, which I agree with. A lot of stuff is still happening. But it does, bring a blow to Algorand or blockchain in general if a platform like Travelex is leaving to do something private. So maybe we are early, y'all. Maybe we are early. However, I got a question for y'all, another poll I want y'all to look out. And it says, which RWA coin performs best in Q3? So between now and September, and I mentioned all these today, Ondo Finance. Is it Ondo? Do they perform better? Is it Algorand? Is it Stellar Lumens? Or is it XRP Ripple? Definitely leave y'all votes there, and then I will follow up back with y'all about what y'all think will perform the best in Q3. Again, y'all, make sure y'all hit that like button. Leave any comments about what you heard tonight. How do you feel about Fiat Chain and Algorand? For all the news that's happening with JP Morgan using different collaterals. We got USDC on XRP, PayPal USD on Stellar Lumens, Ondo Finance partnering with XRP with its treasury bills. A lot of stuff is happening. This has been a great week, a lot of ups and downs, but I'm excited, y'all. So until the next time, see you on the next video. Peace. Passive income. Gold in my dental. Thank God for my mental. Investor fundamentals. Told my girl it was simple.